what in the world can they be telling their clients of how to really be prepared for the kind of tumult that's likely to be happening in the next period of time? And I'm very concerned, as you are, about the impact that that's going to have on ordinary people, on their families, and on their future generations. And it's going to be hurtful for people in our age and stage of life, but it's going to be devastating to our children and grandchildren if people haven't taken other actions on their own.
Look, Dunnigan, and the people who in this industry who I actually admire, the people who push back against me, the dollar bulls and the milkshake theory guys. I mean, I happen to think that the milkshake theory is very, 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 very well thought out. And he's been right until he's not. And the thing of it is that all empires believed that their currency and in this case, their bond market, but their currency would be eternally demanded until it stops. And when confidence in the currency collapses, the impact is all of a sudden and insurmountable. What did we always say? Little by little by little by little, and bang, all at once. And at what point does it become very obvious that the world doesn't want to continue accumulating our debt when we are a country who has chosen debt and inflation over austerity and tough decisions? And it's becoming quite obvious. And I think we are reaching that point. And then you throw into it the geopolitical issues, the coercion, the sanctioning, the wars, choosing sides, along with printing, in 18 days, a half a trillion dollars. I mean, we are entering a period of time where we're going to cross over that Rubicon, and that's that all at once moment. And I think it's happening. I think we are on our way to it. And you look at, what's happening with the BRICS countries. They're not only are they the ones that are buying all the gold, but they're also the ones that are selling all the treasuries. And they've just announced a 3-year de-dollarization plan officially to trade in local currencies like we're seeing right now. And the trading in local currencies has saved these countries billions of dollars already by ditching the dollar. China saved over $10 billion by not using the dollar in oil trades, by using the yuan in settlements with Russia. India saved over $7 billion by purchasing oil at discounted prices from Russia just since February of 2022. And they purchased $186 billion worth of oil from Russian suppliers from China that was laundered through China. And then you got all of these other deals that are being made. And then you see like Gazprom Nefti, it's called, or Neft, Gazprom Neft. It's the second or third largest oil exporting firm in Russia. They said, we're done taking dollars. At what point does this start to really affect things? At what point does it start to gain momentum and these other countries and institutions in this BRICS network start to follow suit? So yeah, I think this, you add the seasonality into it, you add all of these things, and then a couple other things to mention, and then we'll be gone here. We're seeing massive outflows in metal continue. We're down to a multi-year low in gold on COMEX, down to 20 million ounces. Another 500,000 ounces went out this week. 200,000 ounces of gold out the ETFs. The markets, whether it be exchange for physical or outright deliveries off the London Metals Exchange, the Shanghai Metals Exchange, the COMEX market, they are being bled dry. And then you see gold in China being sold at $120 more an ounce than in the LBMA or COMEX. They are beginning to realize that by letting the price rise, it's not a supply-demand thing. It isn't. It's that they realize by slowly letting the price rise, they will siphon and arbitrage all the metal. That way, we are seeing a new system emerge as far as I'm concerned. And look, even the Shanghai Gold Exchange has seen the lowest level of silver that they've had since silver squeeze. Big deliveries keep happening, and the central banks keep buying. And the trend is continuing in 2023. So this is the same thing that we've been talking about, but it's accelerating. And little by little by little by little, logarithmic decay, bang. The gold market blows up. The oil market blows up. The dollar market blows up. What's the first one to do it? Don't know. What is the catalyst to the other markets when one blows? Don't know. But if you don't see this happening, you are not watching. Last thing, I promise. We are also seeing a concerted effort by the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the monetary what am I trying to say? The Russian gold markets. There's a group, it's called the NRA, SFO NRA Corporation, and it has to do with these the Russian gold market. There is a concerted effort for these two to join together and to break the West, to break the Western price setting system. And that's coming. You're going to see these countries who have accumulated and are producing all the metal, they're going to render or expose the Western markets as being obsolete. In fact, when the Shanghai market was formed, like in 2014 or 15, the guy that started the Shanghai market, or the politician or the Chinese leader, whoever he was, I'm butchering who he really is, but an authority in China said, when we finally let the gold price be where it should be to expose the real gold price, people are going to be shocked. That's ultimately what they're trying to do. They're going to accumulate all the metal and then they'll reprice it over there. The West will have no pricing power because everyone is going to see that this fractional system, this leverage system, this rigged system is a bunch of malarkey, and it will be a cash and carry system with no futures over there. This is all happening as we speak. And I don't think it's ever been more important to listen to what we're saying, because the acceleration in everything is going to make the opportunity for people to protect themselves become harder and harder and harder as time goes by.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I have to keep reminding clients who call asking, hey, Dunnigan, do you think we're going to get a dip in price where I could scoop up some inventory and that sort of thing? Is that, look, there's likely to be volatility in both directions, for sure. We don't know when. But inventory availability and premiums are something we have no way of controlling or predicting. So that happened to us, and a lot of the dealers, everyone recalls back in the COVID crash of March of 2020, the spot prices plunged, premiums shot up, and availability was back ordered 6, 8, sometimes 12 weeks on certain products. Any thoughts from you as a person who's been seasoned in the supply chain of the retail bullion investing industry for 33 years on what happens in those times of high volatility?
Well, we talk a lot about the central banks and everyone else buying coins and this and that. In the first 8 months of this year, we've seen massive pickup in bar and coin demand in Iran, India, and Turkey. Here are the top 5 purchasers of bars and coins. China, number 1. Turkey, number 2. United States, 3. India, and Iran. So, 4 of these 5 countries, Turkey was just told by the European Union that they're not going to be admitted into the Union. And they said, fine, we're going to go another direction. They're going to go to BRICS. So you have 4 of the 5 top leaders or countries here in coin and bar purchases, either in the BRICS or soon to be in the BRICS. And I think the point I'm getting at is that, Iran and Turkey took the place of Switzerland and Germany. So the Western countries that have typically been buying gold and silver coins over all of these years are now being replaced by the countries in the East who are rapidly de-dollarizing. This is going on to the people. In June of this year, the People's Bank of China started to publicly encourage their people to make regular monthly purchases directly from the Shanghai Gold Exchange. What I'm getting at is this is becoming global. This is not just where the U.S. markets get all of the coins from the world markets, because the U.S. was traditionally the biggest buyer of these items. And now you have the world waking up who see things more clearly than the people in this country do. And I think I've been very consistent in saying this. My belief is that there will be a banking problem. There will be a bank that fails here before the end of the year that will be bailed in, not bailed out. And when that happens, the market volatility and premiums will go parabolic. The thing that's very hard for people to understand is you got guys like Ted Butler saying there is a massive shortage on COMEX. And then people hear me talk and say, well, that's not the case on the retail level. It's hard for me to wrap my head around it, where everything I read says multi-year lows on the LBMA, on the Shanghai Gold Exchange, on the COMEX, product leaving, being backdoored off ETFs, product leaving. Those are the very sophisticated people. At what point does it translate down to our level? It hasn't yet. And it's confusing for me. It must be really confusing for people who don't follow this stuff as closely. But It's happening, and it's starting to accelerate now, where you see these countries in the East start to buy more coins and bars than the countries in the West do. And you wait and see where there's one moment where the mainstream people in this country wake up and say, do you see that bank was just bailed in? Our neighbors lost everything. That's when it changes like that. And it goes from really favorable environment for the consumer to one that is completely awful. And that's typically what has happened in the past, but nothing, I think, would prepare this market for a bank bailing. I went to lunch the other day here at my country club with two guys after a round of golf. And one owns a massive fruit importing company, and the other owns a huge insurance company, offices all around the country. And I said to my buddy Kevin, who works with me, I said, watch this. Neither of them are going to know it. And they look at me like, what's he talking about? And I said, do either of you know what a bail-in is? Neither of them do. Both of them are multimillionaires. Neither of them do. And when they told me where their money was, I almost choked. I'm not going to get into that, but I'll just simply say that this country has no idea what's coming for them. They can't get out of the way of what they don't see coming. And when people who are financially literate, just illiterate as it pertains to reality, but very literate when it comes to reading mainstream, they will find a whole new sense of panic and fear. It will be a religious experience when all of these people finally understand what the Dodd-Frank law is all about and what bail-ins is all about. And like that, it changes. And I know some people watching this would be skeptical of me saying that, talking his book again. But all I can tell you, as heaven and the Lord is my witness, in every bit of honesty I can come up with and sincerity, I believe that's what's going to happen. That will be the awakening. And not only that, it will start to immediately cull the banks, which will wake up more and more and more and more and more people. This will become all at once a crazy, crazy, crazy market environment for precious metals, because it is the only place to go right now if you want to remove counterparty risk and buy something that is not ridiculously overvalued, that has been considered wealth for all eternity, all of time. And the biggest money, the most well-funded money on the planet have been on a buying spree of unprecedented proportions. How much easier could it be to see the tea leaves if you open your eyes and look?
The other aspect of that may be obvious to you, but not to many, is that the ability to do transactions is not just limited by inventory availability, not just limited by accessibility of brokers or companies with which to do business, but the actual ability to transact through the banks, et cetera, can be stressed and threatened as well, and the ability to ship and logistics and all that. So when you talk about a calm before the storm, and you've used that analogy many times with us, that eye of the storm kind of thing, in the backside about to hit you, this is a time when there is inventory. There are lower prices than we've seen and lower premiums in many cases than what we've seen in a long time. And we have the ability to still transact through the banks and still ship. So that ability to take action before it's necessary, that gets back to preparedness, which is where we've been since 2013.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to say these things because, that's the problem about trying to have these conversations and saying it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. The new version of The Little Boy Who Cries Wolf has me on the cover. And it's because I believe it so strongly. And the truth of it is the people watching your show might be the only people out there who actually believe what I'm saying is coming. Other people I would say this to, yeah, right. I believe it in my soul. And I believe it's intended. I believe this is what they want. I think they want to cull the banks. And the only way to do that is to let a bank be bailed in. And it's interesting that in all of these pieces, like the Belt Road Initiative, like gold being reclassified tier 1, like bail-ins, the stuff of the Dodd-Frank Act, money market gating. All of these things are out there, yet so poorly publicized that it's going to set the stage for a very, very, very frightening environment for a lot of people. And it's not conspiracy, it's law. And the law was broken when Silicon and Signature Bank were bailed out. And that was one of the things these two guys said. Well, if that's true, Andy, then why were those banks bailed out in March and April? Good point, I said, and here's why. And talked to him about the Oklahoma senator who was outraged. And it's a perfect storm waiting to happen. And it makes no sense to me, none, zero, why the coins and bars are as cheap as they are and why they are as plentiful in inventory right now as they are. And again, I'm being completely sincere. I am stumped. I have no idea, but I can only think that it will change in the blink of an eye. And right or wrong, I'm going to stick with it. That's my belief.